Battles become heated as championships can be won here at Mallory Park for the penultimate round of the series. Welcome to Thundersport Plus.
Welcome to Mallory Park then, the penultimate round of the 2013 season. The RST Clothing Golden Era Superbikes and the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Supersport class on the grid in this Thundersport Plus show, which will also feature the JHS Racing Super Twins and the Motodex Pre-National 600s. On pole position, a new face, Shane Pearson, number 85. He did attend Cadwell Park earlier on in the season. Nice to see him out there on the Suzuki. He's on pole position. Richard Blunt leading the championship, number 13, second on the grid. John Dieterman having a great weekend on the Baxi Ducati in third, the 860, and he's got off the line well. But keep an eye out for Rob Wilson, just on the inside there. Kawasaki, number 57. He's the man that can pose a threat to Richard Blunt's chances of winning the championship here this season. This round, and then Donington Park, the finale to go. In the Sparklight Racing Super Sport 600s, it's between number 11, Lee Longdon, number 911, Adam Sheriff, and number 75, Ryan Strafford. There you see number 8, Nick Williamson, just exiting. Nice to have Nick, number 6, sorry, back out with us again. He's out there on that Honda SP1, but it's the Suzuki GSXR 750, number 85 there, that leads. And that is Shane Pearson ahead of number 18. The Baxi Ducati, also sponsored by JD Racing, is John Dieterman. That is the team name, sorry. Rider from Preston on the self-made Ducati 860. Williamson in third. Richard Blunt at the moment in fourth place. Richard, number 13, from Bury St Edmunds on the Portico GB Racing Kawasaki, and Rob Wilson from Immingham on the C-Tech Electrical Kawasaki. Of course, Golden Era Superbikes, a class for that golden era of the days of Foggy versus Russell, you will remember. This has been a very popular class so far this season, but it's Pearson that leads, and then that Baxi Ducati of Dieterman's in second. I believe that Dieterman's got a crowd with him here this weekend, as has Pearson. Baxi Heating, used to sponsor the bike racing so many years ago, so it's nice to see it out there. And he's just had to allow Pearson through the bus stop there. It's a good effort, good start here for Pearson as they break away onto the start-finish straight. In fourth place and fifth place are the two championship protagonists in the RST Clothing Golden Era Superbikes. Golden Era Supersport, well, Lee Longdon had a healthy lead in this championship on the Moto Italia Ducati 748, but the last few rounds have just been a bit worrying for him. He's lost ground. Adam Sheriff has been there or thereabouts all season long and is closing in on him. Ricky Owen's done well. Chris Spink and Brian Strafford in particular looking very, very good here at Mallory Park, and they could force Lee into fighting for that Supersport Championship at the final round at Donington next month. In the meantime, out front here, Shaw's hairpin, the orange and white Suzuki of Shane Pearson it is that leads. For 85, Shane from Derby on the melted sliders Suzuki. Of course, I expect to see him out at Donington Park, his local around, next month. Dieterman in second place. Williamson, number 6, who was absent from our last round, the rider from Southampton, on the RBM Honda SP1 in third. Richard Blunt still in fourth place. You may remember from our last round at Anglesey, Richard melted his bike. Bike went up in flames after an incident involving himself and Sparklight Racing Supersport 600 leader Lee Longdon. Bike up in flames, absolutely melted his spare machine, or sorry, his main machine. Luckily they took a spare machine and he was able to consolidate his championship lead. These guys at the front really fighting well, and around the outside there from Dieterman, nice move clean move. He could see that Pearson was in a bit of trouble there on the downshift and managed to get himself up. And John Dieterman at the moment is making good progress in this championship. He's in the top 5 overall, a decent result here this weekend, and he can move clear of Nick Williamson. So pretty good for him, move up into 4th place. And I don't think he's going to be able to catch Chris Norris, but Pearson here fighting back, getting ahead of Dieterman again. Looks like such a tiny bike from here, doesn't it? That Ducati 860 of John Dieterman's. Proper retro-looking machine, though. I do like it. In 3rd place is Williamson. Williamson looking like he's catching these guys at the moment. He's lapping. On that last lap, he was quicker. There's number 13, Blunt, and Wilson, 1st and 2nd in the Golden Era Superbike Championship. And then I just saw a quick glimpse of Ryan Strafford, who's in 5th place overall and leading the 6th place overall, leading the Super Sport class, ahead of Chris Spink, Adam Sheriff, Rico and Lee Longden, 5th in class at the moment. So he's got a bit of work still to do. You can also see Neil Appleby, number 70, out there on the Ducati 996, and that bike's not exactly been playing ball this season, but once it's working, he's definitely a fierce competitor out front. They're already coming up on some traffic here as they come down and into the chicane. Number 95 is Phil Colgan on a Ducati, but Dieterman it is that's made light work of that, exiting the Edwinas. We've not seen John in as good a form as this. He was showing signs of rapid improvement at Anglesey. He was up at the sharp end all weekend, but this is obviously a circuit that suits him. He's happy. Number 18, rider from Preston, up in Lancashire, exiting the Devil's Elbow there onto the start-finish straight, and there is Williamson, who's got himself ahead of Pearson. So Pearson's just dropped off the pace here. He started the race well, but they've now gone into the 55s. So here they come on the steady straight down towards Edwinas. There's Dieterman and Williamson. Pearson now been demoted to 3rd place. And Richard Blunt there looks like he's just closed in a bit, which would be encouraging for him. Of course, he's looking to extend his championship lead over Rob Wilson. But Rob is following, so... Oh, and who's that just going straight on there? That looks like it might have been Phil Colgan. We saw him being lapped earlier on. He's just taken a bit of a grass track. It's Dieterman in full control of this race as he exits Devil's Elbow, comes across the line to complete another lap. Looking in good shape as they tip up towards Gerrard's. Don't forget, in part 2, we've got the pre-national 600 sponsored by Motordex, where James Shaw can become the champion, and also JHS Racing Super Twins, Mini Twins, and the Formula 400s, and there's a number of champions that can be crowned in that race. Whereas this one, it's looking like it's probably going to go down to Donington Park. John Dieterman leads at the moment on the Ducati 860. He's just coming up to some traffic there. It's James Smith. Oh, and Nick Williamson thinking about going up the inside as they tip around Shaw's hairpin. Oh my word, that's a bit of a wild line, but it's worked out for him, and Nick Williamson leads. Good move there from Nick on the Honda. Made his bike as wide as possible there, didn't he? And onto the start-finish straight we go. Baxi, by the way, the sponsor on John's Ducati 860, he actually works at Baxi Heating in research and development, so that's why he's got it on the side there. And Rob Wilson and Richard Blunt have now moved ahead of Pearson, who was the early leader and has just fallen away. I don't know if he's got tyre problems or not. He's not being able to keep up with these guys at the moment. And Rob Wilson, of course, doesn't want to let Blunt out of his sight and is moved up into 4th place. A bit more traffic for them to deal with now as they come up across Graham Oakley. And well, it's Nick Williamson that has the lead from Dieterman. And Blunt here really has closed up, hasn't he? Looking in good form here. Richard Blunt, a 55.86. So he's lapping a bit quicker than these guys. He may well not be aware, he may well be aware that he's ahead of Rob by just a few seconds. Yeah, he's pulled a gap on Rob. Rob's just fallen away in the background there, number 57. The leader's coming up on some strong traffic now, so it's a bit difficult to keep up with it. Oh, this is tight, 3 abreast almost around Gerrard. That's Dieterman in second and Richard Blunt in third. This is all traffic at the back here. That's Phil Colgan again, and we see, well, a number of different riders going through there. But that's number 8, Gareth Skinner. I think Brad Davey we just saw as well, and Dieterman there just having to be careful. There's a lot of traffic for these guys to deal with. Nick Williamson's got a lot to come up on in Shaw's. Blunt has got through. As they tip into the hairpin here, all sorts going on. Oh, and that's, oh no, and it's a back marker incident for Nick Williamson, the race leader. And that was involving Andy Saunders. Andy's just gone in. He's got tangled. It was almost like their handlebars got tangled up. They've both gone straight through bus stop chicane. They're both down. They look a bit hurt. I do hope they're okay. But, oh dear, that's nasty, that one. And poor old Nick Williamson, yeah, red flag's out. Poor old Nick Williamson, the race leader's been taken out of that. I mean, the race win's going to go to John Dieterman, you know, on Campback a lap because Nick's involved in the accident. Red flags for obvious reasons. I do hope both riders are okay, but Dieterman's going to be given the win here ahead of Richard Blunt. So that's a big result. This is double points, I should just point out. And there's Saunders, helmet off, he's up, and he's just maybe a bit winded. I think he's all right. How's Nick getting on? Well, that was an unfortunate and rare incident there. But anyway, Dieterman given the win. Good win for him. Blunt second, Rob Wilson third. Championship goes on. And we'll bring you race 2 later. Shane Pearson fourth. Ryan Strafford wins the Supersport ahead of Neil Appleby, Chris Spink, Craig Jeff, Andy Challis, and Paul Townley managed to finish in 10th place. Well, first up, let's catch up with the Supersport winner, Ryan Strafford.
First position goes to Ryan Strafford. Ryan, a brilliant result with a healthy lead there. You're looking confident on the bike. A good race for you?
Yeah, it was a good race, just how we wanted it. We led into the first corner on the 600, so couldn't have planned it any better. Just pushed the first couple of laps, and I was just getting P1 with 2 seconds the whole race, so I was confident, happy, glad. Good race.
I look forward to the next one. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, everybody's got me here. Access Drilling and FB Motorstore. Scott, who's just helped me out all year. And of course, my dad working tirelessly again on the bikes.
And now let's catch up with the overall race winner, John Dieterman.
First position, John, a brilliant race. Great to see you up here on the top step. How was the race for you? Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, it was a good race. Quite close between Nick and I saw Richard Blunt a few times. A bit of a shame with Nick Williamson on the last lap. They seemed to tangle with the back marker, but I really enjoyed that. It's good to get up on top step for a change on our bike. So yeah, good race. I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. Any sponsors to thank?
I'd like to thank my dad firstly because he built a fantastic bike. So without him, I couldn't be here today. And also Baxi Heating, the company I work for, and they also helped me out as well. So thank you, Baxi.
Well, thank you, John. Great racing from you there, number 18. We'll see you out for race 2. Join us again after the break, though. Time for the Motordex Pre-National 600s. Welcome back to Mallory Park. It's Thundersport Plus and the Motordex Pre-National 600s. This man here on pole position, James Shaw, is just a decent result away here from becoming the champion. This is the only man that can really get in his way. David Brook, number 73. He needs to win, though. He needs to get in front of James Shaw to have any chance of taking this to the final round. Paul Westerdale, nice to have him back on the front row again. Been absent of podiums the last couple of rounds, so he'll want to impress here. And then a new face on the front row, number 60 there, Adam Ruvell. And here we go. Dave's walked off the front, green flag at the back, and that means we're good to go. A packed out grid here of pre-national 600s. Riders that are yet to attain national status on their licence, and into turn 1 it is David Brook, number 73. He'd dearly love to get one over on James Shaw, whether the championship goes James's way or not. We've not seen David get the better of James too many times this season, and he does lead down the back straight as they head down towards Ed Wiener's, And that looks like Paul Westerdale just going into third place. Also Don Gilbert, another rider that's impressed me in the last few weeks. Last few rounds, he's up there as well. Number 34, Sky Blue Yamaha R6, you can't miss him. And of course our newcomer to racing that we first met at Rockingham, Dean Mulcahy, number 95. He'll have the orange bib on, and you'll see him in about 4th or 5th place at the moment, just ahead of Don Gilbert on the Yamaha. Great rider, considering he's only had a couple of meetings. Across the line we go, and it is David Brook that leads. Owns his own and runs his own suspension company, Brook Suspension, rider from Bradford, and he heads into Gerrard's, looking in pretty good shape there. James Shaw from Manchester, and the GNS Racing Kawasaki. And, well, who knows what's in store for him in the future. He's certainly been very talented this year and looking in great form. Brook it is that leads. The exit of Ed Wieners. Obviously a fan of Mallory. This is as strong as we've seen David look for a few rounds. He's always finding himself on the podium, but it's just been a matter of getting in front of that man on the green Kawasaki that's been the problem. James Shaw has been the class of the field in 2013. Paul Westerdale, nice to see that Paul is on the pace in third place. And then there's a bit of a gap back to the likes of Don Gilbert, Dean Mulcahy and Adam Revel, number 60 from the Kawasaki. The majority of this field are in their first full season of racing, hence why it's called pre-national. A few of them have done a couple of seasons before, but are yet, as I mentioned, to attain that national status on their licence. And they are eligible to enter in the superior class at Thundersport GB, which is the Van Insura Sportsman Elite 600s, a championship that you can also see here on Motors TV and Thundersport Elite. And James Shaw's actually been faring very well in that, in the super stock category. You can run super stock bikes or slightly tuned Formula 600s in this class, so if you've got a tuned machine, then you are allowed to use it in this class. There's Don Gilbert. That's easy to spot, Sky Blue Yamaha R6, and there is James Shaw in second place. He's not actually giving David Brook much trouble at the moment. David's had a good opening couple of laps. As mentioned though, full grid here. I'll get my Jonathan Ross words right, shall I? Ryan Warren is having a good time of it in the top 8. Josh Hill, again strong this weekend. Sean Martin, Nick Kavanagh, Liam Helliwell, Michael Golden, Michael Mace, Charlie Oakland's up in the top 12 or 13, and she leads the Buff Women's Championship at the moment ahead of Jenny Tinmouth. There are a few other championships to keep your eye on as well here in Thundersport GB, a number of them in this race. The Combined Military Services Championship between the Navy, the Army and the RAF. Well, Frank Gallagher currently leads that ahead of Tim Daisley. Tim, who's had a number of injuries this year and isn't here at the moment. He's not out, certainly in this race. There's number 126, Dean Young, who had a good start to the season. Certainly knows his way around Mallory Park, does Dean, from Romsey. And the Two Wheels Warehouse Yamaha. But further back, this is the mid sort of field battle going on between the likes of Ben Shuttlewood, Dean Young, Nick Barnes, Asa Webb, Lee Brockhurst, Michael Dexter, Nigel Pitt. So fights all the way down the field here. But at the front it's still David Brook from James Shaw. It's number 410. I just mentioned him a little while ago. Ryan Warren from Blisworth on the RW Racing Kawasaki. And there's Josh Hill, Sheffield rider on the Yamaha, ex-Super Team. Let's just see Don Gilbert going around Gerrard's there. Just behind him on the Kawasaki with the orange bib is Adam Revel, who qualified 4th on the grid and is looking here like he's going to make a place up. Yes, he is. He moves ahead of Don Gilbert. There is just behind him, I think that's Sean Martin, although the number board not particularly clear there. Josh Hill's certainly in the mix, and Nick Kavanagh. Up into Shaw's hairpin we go. Ooh, that It's a bit close, wasn't it? Mentioned before here at Mallory Park, there's a number of different lines that you can actually take into Shaw's hairpin and it not really affect you on the exit because it's such a short stretch to the bus stop. They all bunch up anyway. But well, the sponsor of this class, Motodex, that's Tony Dexter, dad of Michael Dexter of Motodex. It's a mouthful. He's here supporting his son and will present the trophies here today. And it's looking at the moment like he could be presenting by the end of the day James Shaw the championship trophy, although David Brooke is still leading this race and could make James wait another round to clinch it. In all honesty, James probably deserves it. Oh my word! A major tank slapper over the exit of the S's there for number 60, Adam Revel. I bet his heart was in his mouth there, and he's just going to have to regroup himself through the bus stop and straight back on the power. Always a good sign of a mad rider, that. But, well, he's just lost a bit of momentum, not surprising. Don Gilbert moves up a place. Oh, and there's a bit of a moment there, and there's a few bikes down. And is there a rider down in the background, or is that just a bit of carnage going on? But we've got a few riders going down here, and I think that there's oil that's been dumped all over the place as well. I've got a feeling this one might just get stopped. Yeah, it has. It's been stopped. We've got 3 or 4 bikes down at once there. And, oh no, I can tell you one thing. David Brooke has not gone across the line. And David Brooke, the race leader. That means James Shaw wins the race. It's double points, and it means Shaw's the champion. James Shaw has clinched it. Oh, in such disappointing circumstances, though. Paul Westerdale, that means, will get second. Adam Revel, fresh from the tank slapper. It'll go back a lap, so he will get third ahead of Don Gilbert. Dean Mulkey fifth ahead of Ryan Warren, Josh Hill, Sean Martin and Nick Kavanagh. Golden takes 10th, and there's confirmation for you. James Shaw is the Motodex Pre-National 600 champion, and sponsor Tony Dexter will hand not only the winner's trophy of this race out, but the championship trophy as well. Westerdale will take second and Revel third. Oh well, I do hope that all riders concerned in that crash are all okay. But in the meantime, let's catch up with the top 3.
Third position goes to Adam. A really good result for you. First time on the podium. You must be really chuffed with that race.
Yeah, great. Just come back racing again, so this is my second meeting this year on the podium. So yeah, it's great. Hopefully do the same again race 2.
Exactly. Any sponsors you'd like to thank?
Just all my friends and family that are down here helping me, supporting me. That's great. Yeah.
Second position goes to Paul Westerdale. Paul, it's great to see you back up here. It's been a while since you've been on the podium. How was the race for you?
It was really, really good, to be honest. I've made a couple of changes from qualifying, and that seemed to be about it. I mean, we've made some massive changes to suspension in the last few rounds, and I've been struggling with it no end. It's been difficult watching everyone else up on the podium. I'm just really, really glad to be back. I mean, great race. Feel really, really sorry for Dave Brooke. I think he went down on the oil at the end. It's a real shame because he was really on it this weekend.
A good result for you. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Matt's for You, also Kabuto Noodles. Massive thanks to Leon Geacock, who's here with me this weekend, helping out on the suspension and twiddling things. He's been an absolute godsend and worth every penny. And then finally, Mum and Dad, because they're brilliant.
Winner of the race and championship winner as well, James Shaw. It was only a matter of time before you wrapped up the championship. You must be ecstatic with this result after this year.
Really happy. I was really happy to win that race. My shock actually went in the elite race in the race before, so I wasn't actually going to go out, but I just went out and I like riding a pogo stick, but it worked. I won. So I need to try and get a shock for the next elite race now, see if I can get one sorted.
A good result, and you were battling with David Brooke at the start of that race, but unfortunately he came down. Did you see?
No, I'd already passed him when he crashed, so I didn't see it. But I saw the oil on the track.
You managed to dodge it?
Yeah, just about.
Any sponsors you'd like to thank?
Yeah, Mark and Tom Fisher from GNS Racing, Sean and Barry from Brabus are giving me a shot at riding the FAW at BSB, at National Superstock, so I really appreciate that, and my mum, my dad, anybody else who helps me.
Well done to you, James, the champion of 2013. Join us again after the break for the JHS Racing Super Twins and Formula 400s. Welcome back to Mallory Park, and it's time for the JHS Racing Super Twins and Formula 400s. Daniel Freer there has got to try and prevent this man, David Allingham, from becoming the 650 Open champion, JHS sponsored, and the Super Twins champion. Not easy stuff, because he built up a massive lead after a great Anglesey where he became a Aprilia 450 champion. Paul Hinchcliffe there on the HMC 650 is on the front row. But a good race this, usually, full of different machines. A lot of championships still to be won as they move away from the line. It's a decent start there for David Allingham, number 11. He's got his nose ahead of Freer already as they tip into turn 1. James Cowton on the Kawasaki 650 there, also off to a good start. The rider from Driffield on the JC Racing machine as they head around Gerrards and down the back straight. A couple of riders that I can tell you have already secured their championship. You'll be able to see them. Blimey, there's someone in the background going grass tracking. Not sure that's the fastest route, but Daniel Freer's run wide and allowed David Allingham through. Yeah, a couple of riders that have already secured their championship before this race, and you'll be able to see their race, the first race of this JHS Super Twins, on the Thundersport iPlayer. Big well done to Ozzy Mady in the Formula 400s, he is the champion, and Dave Butler as well. Dave only needed to pick up a point here this weekend to be crowned the Mini Twins champion. He's done it. There's just all eyes now on David Allingham. This is a double points race here, this one-day event at Mallory Park. Of course, you may well have seen in the press all the news about Mallory and the possible closure of the circuit. We hope it's not the case, although it's not looking great. But this could well be the final set of races that we see around this wonderful circuit here in Leicestershire. Allingham it is that leads, who's looking to cap off the most perfect year. He won the Aprilia 450 championship, and he's just a few points now away from clinching the JHS Racing Super Twins and 650 Open as well. Daniel Freer there is in second place, the blue and yellow Kawasaki 650. Daniel's already had a fabulous weekend here at Mallory Park, just being crowned the Formula 600 and Sportsman Elite Championship, so he'll be happy, pleased as punch, I'm sure. 52 there, James Cowton. I'll have to hold my hands up and say I don't know an awful lot about him. I've not seen him racing much this season, but he's certainly quick, and he's up there with these guys. It's a Kawasaki 650, but it's not a mini twin. He has got a good gap there over Paul Hinchcliffe on the HMC 650. Leading the Mini Twins in this race so far is the champion Dave Butler, just up ahead of Lee Wainwright. We've also got Dan Taylor out there, number 26, and Ali Rowland Rouse, Jason Markham, Alex Platt, number of Mini Twins out there this weekend, in fact. And of the 400s leading at the moment is Joe Sheldon Shaw, who's had a superb end to the season. He's behind Ozzy Mady at the moment, the champion. Rob Pragnell and Shelley Pike out there also on 400s. But at the front of this now, Daniel Freer gets his nose out there. And is he going to make David Allingham wait another round to clinch this championship or not? At the start of the year, it was anyone's guess who was going to take this one. Daniel Freer's had to put up with a lot of decent battles with the 450 Aprilias all season long. This weekend, slightly different. There are a couple of the 450s, but they're a bit further back on those guys. There's number 2, Paul Hinchcliffe, and 15, Ross Twyman on the Aprilia. Number 9, Ben Luxton on the JDF Aprilia also. Alex Baker having a good weekend. George Stanley, rapid improvement from him, up inside the top 10 ahead of Dave Butler. Down the back straight then, there's Ben Luxton making a move on Ross Twyman, and that'll do. That's a move and pushing them up into 5th place. Moment, Daniel Freer just doing himself enough. I've got to say that even if Daniel Freer wins this race, if David Allingham can hold position here in second, that'll be enough to take it. Double points as it is. Daniel actually needs David probably to finish a lot lower or not at all to have any chance really of upsetting the odds in terms of David winning this championship. You'd be surprised how competitive and how well matched the Aprilia 450s are to the 650s. There is a bit more power involved with those 650s, but these 450s are very nimble indeed, and around somewhere like Mallory Park that comes in very handy, especially when you're getting up to this section here into Edwinas and leading all the way round to the start-finish straight. Realistically, that 650 is only going to have a real advantage towards the end of the start-finish straight and maybe 3/4 of the way round Gerrard's. There's still a good battle going on at the front, and this is basically Exhibit A, prime example of that. The Kawasaki 650 here in front of the 450 Aprilia of David Allingham. You'll be able to see there's not a great deal of difference here between these two riders, and certainly not a great deal of difference in terms of lap times. In fact, on that last lap, David Allingham slightly quicker, 54.8, compared to Daniel Freer's 55.1. As they tip into turn one, Gerrard's here. It's never-ending but wonderful Gerrard's onto the Stebby straight, and then hard on the brakes down into Edwina's, the newest part of the circuit. Great overtaking opportunity, not everyone's favourite corner, but it does mix up the race a bit. Hard on the gas, flick right, left, uphill through S's, then up towards Shaw's hairpin. You get some decent drive. You can take a number of different lines here into Shaw's. Either way, you haven't got too much time before you're faced with the bus stop, which does tend to bunch riders up a bit. Then out of Devil's Elbow, and that's where David Allingham seems to be very, very quick and fluent. Onto the start-finish straight again. This is pretty much what we've been used to all season long. David Allingham in the last couple of rounds has just really taken charge of this championship. Daniel Freer was leading the championship after the first few rounds, but it was really Cadwell, our fourth round, where David Allingham started to take over, and then Alton, he was in great form, Rockingham as well, Anglesey, and that's where it's all changed round. But after the first 3 rounds, you'd have put your house on Daniel Freer taking this championship. Ross Twyman, well, he's a bit further back, but there's a good chance that if he can maintain his 4th or 5th position here, that he will guarantee himself 3rd overall. So I'm pretty sure that if these riders all stay on, we'll have the top 3 actually guaranteed in the championship before we get to the final round at Donington Park. Across the line we go to complete another lap. It's still Freer from Allingham. They've completely broken away from James Cowton in 3rd place. There's Cameron Lee just going through. But yeah, the top 2 completely broken away from the rest of the pack. You just see there Cameron, Sam Wilford, and one of the mini twins there. Lee Wainwright, that is, number 44, who's currently 2nd of the mini twins. Further up the road is Dave Butler. He's already been crowned the mini twins champion before this race even started. But exiting Edwina's. As it stands then, we are going to have the champion, pretty much every champion sorted in this class. We see Keenan Armstrong there just battling away with number 2. Paul Hinchcliffe, getting to the latter stages of this race now. There's Ben Luxton across the line. Ross Twyman just up ahead of him. Ross will finish 3rd in the championship guaranteed if the checker flag comes out now. But it's all down to the front of this race. Daniel Freer's done everything that he needs to do. In fairness to him, he knew that whatever happened, he had to get a win, and he is leading. But at the moment, it's just not ideal for him because David Allingham is in 2nd place, and that would be enough for David. Further back there's Pete Gibson, number 33, just going around on the mini twin. Shaw's hairpin, and number 20 just behind him, Paul Wardell. Through the bus stop once more, Daniel Freer in control. These two have been matching lap times the whole way through the race, and they're coming up to put a lap now on Wardell and Pete Gibson. But Freer's going to have to go around the outside, and David Allingham will follow. Last lap flag is out then. David Allingham, well, he'll probably try and pull a move on Daniel Freer, but he doesn't need to, because if he stays upright, this championship is his. As they tip into the chicane, we don't need any heroics now, David. He was already crowned the 450 champion last week. In fact, both of these riders already Thundersport champions for 2013. And, well, Daniel just taking the defensive line into Shaw's hairpin. He'll be aware that Dave Allingham is there. Up through the chicane then, It's a good win this from Daniel Freer. I'm impressed with that, but unfortunately for him it's not enough. He wins here at Mallory Park in the double points race, but David Allingham takes second, and that is it. David Allingham salutes the pit wall, and no doubt his dad on the side, Eddie, because he is the JHS Racing 650 Open champion and the JHS Racing Super Twins champion. Well done to him. That's 3 championships in 1. Confirmation of the overall result then. Daniel Freer wins it from David Allingham. James Cowton third. Ahead of Luxton Twyman, Armstrong Hinchcliffe, Alex Baker, George Stanley ninth, and Dave Butler wins the Mini Twins in 10th place. So cracking result for him. In the 400s, we've got podium coming up. Aussie Mady wins that ahead of Joe Sheldon Shaw, but got confirmation there of the points. You can see Allingham is the champion before we even get to Donington Park. So good result for him. Rod Pragnell was third in the Formula 400s. And Aussie Mady, of course, already wrapping up his Formula 400 championship in the other race. You'll be able to see that on the Thundersport iPlayer. Let's catch up with him now. Grace has got Aussie down on the podium.
A double win for Aussie Mady, a really good weekend for you back up here on the podium. You must be pleased with that result.
Yeah, it was another good race. I think the start was a bit hairy, people dropping in nice in for positions at the first corner. I think someone else might have gone for Edwina's again, but it's just sort of sit back and watch the carnage unfold and just get the result and get the championship, to be honest.
A really good result for you. Who have you got to thank for their help this year?
The Alderman Steam Packet Company, they've been massive help all year. Dan the Gasman at DDB Plumbing and Heating, Andy Grimshaw at AGL Motorsports, and Steve Christie at Appetites, and as well as everyone who support us, parents, friends, family, everyone.
And now let's catch up with the Irishman, the champion of the Mini Twins, Dave Butler.
Mini Twin winner Dave Butler and champion. Are you just having a bit of fun out there now you got the championship wrapped up? You're still proving the one to beat with another win.
Yeah, it was good fun. I was on the back of the Super Twins there for a few laps, and then the exhaust blew apart after about 5 laps. I thought I was going to get black flag, but so I just kept me full to keep the noise down and just nursed it home. So luckily I was in the second race too, so that's not too bad.
Really well done. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah. My Uncle Des, Spears Racing, Quinn Agri Services, Murray Motorsport, Swami Ireland, Dennis Elaine Lynch, and Ken, Michelle Clifford. They look after me all year, and everyone else, Thundersport. And this is my last Thundersport for the year as well, so thanks very much and see you next year.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Let's catch up with the winner of the race then, Daniel Freer, and also the champion, D-Bomb.
Race winner Dan, a good race for you there. Nice to see you back up here on the podium after we haven't seen you for quite a while, so it must be a good result for you.
Yeah, I'm well happy with that. It's been a while since I've won one like on the 650 and the 600, so I was well happy with that. Yeah.
Good result. Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, NLC, Bass Tyres, and Paul Burrell.
And the championship winner, may I say triple champion, Dave Allingham. You're following in the footsteps of Cal Cooper, who did the triple champion last year, so it must be something in these classes, but you must be over the moon, a triple champion under your belt.
Yeah, definitely, I'm over the moon with that. Just knew how to push hard to win it, like, and I'm a wee bit annoyed I didn't get to win the race, but you can't win everything, so yeah, definitely, to get the triple champion, I'm over the moon, like. I don't like the way you kind of like referred me to Callum Cooper. Don't do that, like. No, I'm always joking. No, definitely over the moon, and yeah, just have to go onwards and upwards from now. Yeah, definitely.
And what do you plan on doing next year, Dave? More 450s, 600s? Where are you going to go?
I honestly haven't decided yet. Maybe look into it now over the next few weeks, but no, I just want to give a big thank you to everybody who helped me out. B-More, EHA Group, my dad and Gail especially, for all the work they put in. Just, it's really paid off now. And my mechanic Rudy Grimes and Zoe and my granny for coming this weekend, my brother, all my family for all their support. Yeah, Redstone Saltline as well, so thank you.
Well done there to David Allingham, and of course Daniel Freer for winning the race outright. Join us again after the break then for the last race, the RST Clothing Golden Era Superbikes. Welcome back to Mallory for the final part. The RST Clothing Golden Era Superbikes, the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Supersport Race 2 coming up. Shane Pearson on pole position, championship leader Richard Blunt second on the grid there. John Dieterman, race 1 winner, in third. No sign of Nick Williamson, unfortunately, after that crash in race 1. I'd imagine he's being checked over in the med centre, but we wish him all the best. And Craig Jeff there, also lining up on the front row. Keep an eye out for Rob Wilson. He's the man that can cause a problem for Richard Blunt in the championship. If you've joined us for all 3 parts, you've got to love Dave Butler's interview back then, haven't you? Keep the noise down with regards to Mallory Park. Brilliant. Away we go from the lights, and it is Pearson that leads into turn 1. Yep, from pole position. Richard Blunt, though, does well to get up into second place, the championship leader. And John Dieterman just settling into third place, and that look like Rob Wilson in fourth as they all come around. Gerard's, the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Supersport Championship, is going to go to Donington. Lee Longdon's got his work cut out this weekend with the likes of Strafford, Spink and Sheriff riding so well, and Rick Owen as well. But the Golden Era Superbikes, well, this will also, no matter what the result here, despite the fact that it's double points, this is also going to go all the way down to Donington. And Rob Wilson did very well at Donington Park earlier on in the season. We did the short national circuit earlier in the year. When we go there next month, it'll be the full GP circuit. There is Shane Pearson, though. He led the race in the early stages in race 1 in part 1, but just fell away in the latter stages to 5th place before the red flags came out. But at the moment, he's doing pretty well. And Richard Blunt is following. This would be a good result for Richard Blunt if he could finish on the podium here ahead of Rob Wilson. Just give him a nice barrier and a bit of comfort heading into the final round of the championship, where there are 100 points on offer. Blunt there ahead of Dieterman on the Baxi Ducati. Blunt sponsored by Portico Racing. Rob Wilson there also going through, the rider from Immingham. This is Rob's final year of racing this year, proving, well, as any of you that have been involved in motorcycle racing will know, it's an expensive game, this, and Rob's had 2 bikes to maintain throughout the season, so he'd like to go out with a bang and try and win this championship. But at the moment, he's got to try and get past John Dieterman, number 18 on that Ducati, and then fight with his championship rival, Richard Blunt. Further back there, you can just about see Craig Jeff, number 16 on the Aprilia Mille. Shane Pearson is the race leader, number 85. And, well, from what I can see in the paddock, he is also mob-handed here at Mallory Park. He's got the entire family here. It's like an X Factor audition for Shane Pearson, and he's doing well here, despite the fact he faded away in the early stages of race 1. He's just put in his fastest lap of the weekend, a 55.4. And the lap record not been beaten though. Lee Reevely, the last year's champion, of course. Lee, who was out injured early on in this season. We send him all our best. Be great to have Lee back in our paddock, a 4-time Thundersport champion. He still has the lap record of this place, 54.9. Maybe that will go on to last forever. As I mentioned before, this circuit, of course, possibly being closed. So keep the noise down. You see John Dieterman has just lost a place there to Rob Wilson. Every single time Richard Blunt makes a move, Rob Wilson follows, and John Dieterman's about to get another one snatched off him as well. Oh, that was close. I don't think even Dieterman saw him coming there, and he almost had his nose chopped off. Craig Jeff there on the Aprilia Mille, just trying to find a way past John Dieterman. Meanwhile, Shane Pearson is gone. He is checked out, and they tip into Shaw's hairpin, and Craig Jeff is not afraid there. Good move, but a bit hairy through Shaw's hairpin. He makes it through the bus stop and has now got his eyes focused on Rob Wilson. Craig from Barnsley on the 2JR Cross Lane Garage Aprilia. Used to race as well as his dad in the Thundersport 500 class. Don't forget, you can still watch Thundersport 500s on Motors TV and Thundersport Naked here. Don't get too excited, it's not what it sounds like. Richard Blunt, though, in second place, trying to close it. Well, I don't think he'll even make many attempts to close in on Shane Pearson. He's a pretty sensible rider. is Richard Blunt, and he'll be just probably content with the fact that he's not seen number 57 poke his nose out front yet, but if Rob's got anything about him, he will let him know he's there, and there it is, up the inside into Shaw's hairpin. And even if that doesn't completely go well for him, it's just a fact that Richard now knows he's there, and that, Richard's now just clicked up a gear as they go either side of poor old Phil Colgan on the Ducati. He's thinking, what's this all about? The lead has come round to lap him. Shane Pearson still leads, but now we've got the battle on between Blunt and Rob Wilson there, second and third in this race, and first and second in the championship overall. Meanwhile, in the Sparklight Racing Golden Ear Supersport, we've not had a chance to pan back to them just yet, but Ryan Strafford has got his hands full with Chris Spink. But another win here for Strafford. Oh, and Rob Wilson's had to go straight on. Rob Wilson, whilst behind Richard Blunt, has had to pick the bike up. He'll lose some time there. He filters in just behind Craig Jeff. He won't be punished for that. He's not taken an advantage. Just going back to Ryan Strafford. He's on to pick up a maximum 100 points here. Unreal. This means that Lee Longdon is going to have to wait till Donington to try and clinch the crown. There is Wilson. In fact, this is a mare of a lap that he's having. He's just collared the curbs at the bus stop as well and lost down another place to John Dieterman. And there's Chris Spink just behind him. Chris Spink is leading the Super Sports now. Rob Wilson is kissing goodbye to some valuable double points here in the championship rundown. Riders just going through some cement dust there. That was left from the pre-national 600 race that we saw in part 2. Rob Wilson may just need a lap here to compose himself because he's lost 3 or 4 places in one. That's a lot of points to lose in one go. So he needs to regroup. Meanwhile, Shane Pearson has got a 4 and a bit second lead. Any signs of him fading in this race, well, there's no chance. Him and his big crowd are going to be very happy if he can stay on the saddle now from here until the end of the race. But Richard Blunt will probably come away the happier of the two men if he can hold on to second place and extend this championship lead. As it stands, Rob Wilson will go to Donington, I think, with a 50 points to find on Richard Blunt. So that means he'd have to win both races and hope that Richard doesn't finish a couple. Well, we saw Richard fail to finish a couple in Anglesey, but the chances of it happening again at Donington, well, you never know, do you? It really just depends. We've had some thrilling final rounds at Thundersport GB in the past, and let's just hope that we haven't got snow at Donington like we had earlier on in the year. But that really would throw a spanner in the works. There's John Dieterman, perhaps not quite as solid in this race as he was in race 1, but he's up in the top 5 still, and he's got a good chance of finishing in the top 4 of this season's championship. There is number 61 just going through the bottom of your screen, Graham Oakley, and John Golding on the Aprilia, number 135. They're just being lapped now. There's Craig Jeff going around the outside. Craig Jeff's having a good end to this race. Don't know what happened to him in race 1, but he's found his confidence again, and he's trying to close in on Richard Blunt. But Craig on for a podium here. I don't think either of them are going to catch Pearson out front because he's got a healthy advantage. But there he is, number 85, up into Shaw's. There's Richard Blunt. Don't need to do anything silly now, Richard. You're ahead of Craig Jeff. He won't be aware of what's just happened to Wilson, I doubt, behind him. He's lost a couple of places. They come to put a lap on Gareth Skinner on the Suzuki. But it's been a decent race from Blunt, and that's a really comfortable, nice, sort of relaxing lead to take into the final round at Donington Park. He's been very consistent this year as Richard Blunt. At times, he's been outstanding. But Rob Wilson can definitely spring a surprise or two. Last lap flag is out there, and it looks like Pearson is going to take the 50 points here and a win. He only attended one other round this year, and that was Cadwell. But, oh, mind you, I tell you what, this here, second place at the moment looks like it's going to go to Blunt, but catching him here is number 16, Craig Jeff. He doesn't care what happens in the championship at the top 2. He wants 40 points. Ooh, it's getting close as they head up towards Shaw's hairpin. But there is Blunt. ahead of Craig Jeff. He's just about doing enough here, but they've got some traffic up ahead of them. Blunt in line for 40 points. Stabs himself up the inside of somewhere of Saunders there, who was involved in that first race incident. The checker flag is out though, and Pearson takes the win. And Blunt has taken second place and will have a 50-point advantage going into Donington Park. Craig Jeff there, quick shake of the hand. He takes third, decent result for him. John Dieterman fourth, Rob Wilson in fifth place. So that moment in the race, the mistake towards the end has cost him a bit. Ryan Strafford sixth and wins the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Supersport ahead of Chris Spink. Chris Norris with eighth, Adam Sheriff ninth, and Paul Townley finishing in 10th place. Confirmation then in the championship. It's going all the way to the final round at Donington Park in both championships. Blunt versus Wilson in Golden Era Superbikes, and then it's Longdon versus number 911 Sheriff and 75 Ryan Strafford in the Sparklight Racing Golden Era Supersport class at Donington. First up though, let's catch up with Sparklight Racing Golden Era Supersport winner Ryan Strafford.
Ryan, another good race for you, another result in the bag, pushing the points up in the championship.
That's the race of the year, I think. You know, I was down in 14, terrible start again, and just battled my way through. It was brilliant. I don't know what to say, I was absolutely buzzing off that race.
Any sponsors to thank?
Yeah, I got to thank Access Drilling and Practical Car and Van Rental, Nemesis Racing, FB Motor Store, and obviously you, Grace, as well, for bringing a smile to the paddock.
Oh, thank you, well done. Race winner Shane, a good result for you. First time on the podium here at Thundersport. You must be really pleased with the trophy in your hands.
Yeah, I am really pleased with it. After a bit of a mishap in race 1, we finished 4th, but spun that around ready for race 2, and you know, it was a good meeting. We're looking forward to coming back to Donington and then hopefully doing this next year. So just shout out to Melbourne Sliders and all my family and the wife. Thanks for all the support.
Well, that's it then from Mallory Park, hopefully not for the final time. Join us again for the finale of Thundersport GB at Donington Park next month.